Boys, I need to know why people do not see Aljamain Sterling as a legitimate title contender, because I really do, and I just don't see what people are missing. Like, I think he really could be the next featherweight champ. All I see when people talk about the future of the featherweight division is Gene Silva, Diego Lopez, Lerone Murphy, Movsar Evloev, all these other guys, but nobody likes to mention Long Island's finest. Let's go. Aljamain Sterling. People are just so quick to forget that it was only like a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, where you guys were calling Aljamain Sterling the greatest bantamweight of all time. That was all of you guys saying that because you were a prisoner of the moment. I wasn't saying it because I don't believe that's true. It's still Dominic Cruz over Merab. But the point is, you guys were saying this guy was the greatest bantamweight of all time. And now he has no shot at winning the title at 145. What are we even talking about here? But the reason why I'm so high on Aljo potentially becoming a champ at this weight class is not just because of him. It's also just because of the state of the featherweight division. If this were 2 years ago when we had a peak Alexander Volkanovski, a peak Max Holloway, and Ilia Topuria on the rise, I would say Aljamain Sterling would get sparked. He would have no chance. Volkanovski would probably get a 49-46 over him. Max Holloway would do dangerous things in his prime to our boy Aljamain Sterling, but he's at 155 now. And Ilia Topuria would knock out Aljamain Sterling cold worse than O'Malley did, but he's also at 155. So Aljo doesn't have to worry about Max. He doesn't have to worry about Topuria. The only guy he has to worry about from that old era of featherweights is Alexander Volkanovski, who, one, is getting old, is no longer in his prime, and is only going to continue to decline. And two, I think he's going to retire very, very soon. And if you have Alexander Volkanovski retire, the floodgates are going to open up. And the featherweight division will be wide open for anybody to win it, including Aljamain Sterling, who I really, really think should be one of the prime favorites to get the job done. I mean, let's just look at the other guys. We got Diego Lopez, already had a shot. His striking defense wasn't good enough. He's a little too sloppy. He's got to develop more. Gene Silva is still a huge question mark. We still really don't know how good he is until we see how he does against Diego Lopez. Lerone Murphy's good, but are you guys really picking Lerone over Aljo? Because I don't think I am. I know Lerone is quicker on the feet. He's a little more precise, a little more tacty, but Aljo, I think, is going to hold him down. And the other guy is Movsar Evloev, where we all know had that razor-close decision with Aljamain Sterling, where he won, where some people argued Aljo won. Aljo thought he won. I don't know what I thought. It was super close, but regardless, it was a close fight. And if you put that 5 rounds, Aljamain Sterling with his great cardio, which we don't really know about Movsar, and his championship experience, he has a history of winning championship fights in those rounds. I'm taking Aljamain Sterling. But we're going to go opponent by opponent here, go through every single guy who will be a roadblock for Aljamain Sterling getting that 2-division championship status. And the first guy, obviously, we got to talk about is the sitting, reigning champion, Alexander Volkanovski. In the eyes of many, and arguably most, the greatest featherweight of all time, guys. This would be a tough fight for Aljo. I'm not going to lie to you. Aljo and Volk have trained before, so I wonder how that went behind the scenes. The fact that Aljo's calling him out so quickly after just getting an okay win over Brian Ortega, something tells me that Aljo has confidence in this kind of matchup. But I want to get something out of the way. If this is a prime Volkanovski, Aljamain Sterling is losing. I don't think he gets finished. I think Aljo is good enough to get to the judges' scorecards. But I think it's a 49-46. I think Aljo maybe gets round 2 by using his grappling, holding down Volk a little bit. But we all know Volk is a great counter wrestler. What he did against Islam Makhachev was phenomenal. But I just can't see Aljo beating a prime Volk. But luckily, Volk's not in his prime anymore. Volk is not in his prime. I think he's 36 years old. He's lost a little speed. His chin is clearly not where it used to be. And he's got his eyes set on retirement. I was watching all these interviews about Volk, and they asked him what it felt like winning the belt a second time, becoming a 2-time champion. And he was like, it was just all right. Like, he was more interested in beating the opponent, and the belt didn't matter that much to him. And that just sounds like a fighter to me who knows and feels like he is at the end of the road. He sees the light at the end of the tunnel. He's thinking about his cooking channel. He's thinking about his skits and acting. Maybe he's going back into rugby. I don't think his mind is completely on the MMA game. So if he were to fight Aljo now, I would predict Volk to win, but I wouldn't be confident about it. I think it's a lot closer than people realize. But the main reason why I'm making this video is because I think Volk is almost done. I think Volk retires in 1 or 2 more fights. I think he's going to fight the winner of Diego Lopez versus Gene Silva. I think he's going to win that fight, and then I think he's going to retire, and maybe he'll do one more. Maybe he'll take on a Movsar Evloev or a Lerone Murphy. Or Lerone Murphy will actually probably be the next title shot before Lopez and Silva. So he'll probably beat Lerone, then beat the winner of Lopez and Silva. But I think he will retire either after the Lerone Murphy fight or after the Gene Silva fight. So would I pick Alexander Volkanovski to beat Aljamain Sterling? I would. But I don't think this is a matchup we have to worry about for the Funk Master. I just don't. And I know a lot of you guys don't like Aljo, but you can't deny his greatness here and how close he could make this fight. A lot of you guys were calling Volk the greatest featherweight of all time and Aljo the greatest bantamweight of all time. You guys talk about lighter man skill all the time. Why would we not expect a close fight between the greatest at 135 and the greatest at 145, especially when the 135 pounder is closer to his prime than the 145 pounder is? The next roadblock for Aljamain Sterling would be Lerone Murphy, who is likely getting the next title shot. We heard him call out Volk. The crowd loved it. Volkanovski literally said on Twitter, "See you in December." The media was asking Dana White, who's next for Volk? Is it Lerone Murphy? And he was saying probably. So Lerone Murphy probably is the next guy in line for a title shot. And in terms of how he fares against Aljamain Sterling, my answer is honestly, I don't really know. Because we still don't really know how good Lerone Murphy is. He got a good win versus Edson Barbosa, but then his next best win was Aaron Pico. And we have no idea how good Aaron Pico is at a UFC caliber level. Aaron Pico could be a top 5 featherweight in the world. Who knows? He did look good to start the fight, but he was being way too aggressive, way too sloppy, leaving himself open. Clearly, he got spinning elbow knocked out cold. What if Aaron Pico's just not that good? What if Aaron Pico isn't a top 15, top 10 featherweight in the world? Then do you still see Lerone Murphy as this absolute dog who's next in line for the title shot and could beat Volk and would beat Aljo? Because I don't. So the question is, how good is Aaron Pico? Because if he's not that good, I'm willing to bet Aljo wins this fight. And even if Aaron Pico is a top 10 featherweight in the world, I'd still pick Aljamain Sterling to beat Lerone Murphy. I feel strongly about that. Lerone Murphy's a decent counter wrestler, but he has not seen a grappler to the caliber of Aljamain Sterling, not even close. And Aljamain Sterling has that funky striking style where if you're a super clean, crisp, precise boxer, like Lerone Murphy is, super quick, guys who box like Aljamain Sterling, bouncing up and down that weird, wide, bladed stance, it gives these guys issues a lot. And I think Aljamain Sterling wins a decision against Lerone Murphy. I really, really do. I'm not super high on Lerone Murphy. I like him as a fighter, and he's a good personality. I was super happy he finally got his big moment against Aaron Pico. It was a sick knockout. But I don't think he's a championship-level fighter. I think it's too much too soon. We still don't really know how good he is. I think Aljamain Sterling's better than this dude, and I think if they fought for the belt, which could happen in the future, I'm taking Aljamain Sterling. Next up, we have Diego Lopez versus Gene Silva. These guys are booked to fight on UFC Noche, which should be a phenomenal chef's kiss fight. I cannot wait for this. My early gut lean is Gene Silva, but I'm going to be rooting for Diego Lopez. I think he's awesome. I think he is a championship-level fighter. I think he clearly showed that against Alexander Volkanovski, knocking him down, nearly finishing him, bringing it to a somewhat close decision. Not really, but he looked good out there. He showed he deserved to be out there. And Gene Silva, who is arguably the hottest prospect in the whole UFC right now, easily the top dog rising in the rankings of featherweight right now. Great grappling defense, it looks at least. Great striker, powerful, confident, momentum. Gene Silva is likely going to get a title shot after he beats Diego Lopez. But in terms of how Aljamain Sterling fares against these guys, I think Aljo beats Diego Lopez. I do. I don't think Diego Lopez is going to catch Aljo. We've only seen one guy ever catch Aljo, and that was Sugar Sean O'Malley, who is an absolute sniper. And Diego Lopez does have nice hands. His hands are heavy. They're quick. They're crisp. But they're not like Sean O'Malley's. He's not to that level. Diego Lopez's greatest asset is still arguably his jiu-jitsu and grappling, which, against Aljamain Sterling, I think is going to be nullified. Aljamain Sterling is the prototypical guy to stop great jiu-jitsu practitioners. That's just what he is. He has great jiu-jitsu himself. He submitted Corey Sandhagen in the first round. People forget about that. That is one of the most underrated wins in the UFC right now. But I think Aljo wins a 48-47 decision. I think he gets rocked round 1, maybe rocked in round 4. But I think this is the kind of fight where Aljo wins 2-3-5 using his fight IQ, which is insanely high, his most underrated quality. Uses his wrestling, tic-tac striking from the outside. I think Aljo gets the job done against Diego Lopez. And then in terms of Gene Silva, I'm not going to lie to you guys, this is the guy who worries me the most for Aljamain Sterling. If Gene Silva is how good we think he is, if he goes in there and rolls over Diego Lopez, I may have to eat some of my words here because I'd probably pick him to beat Aljamain Sterling. But Aljamain Sterling may get that title shot before Gene Silva even has a chance because, one, I think this fight's going to be an absolute war. I think these guys are going to be damaged. I think it's going to go a long time, 5 rounds. I think it's going to be the kind of fight where both guys want to take 6 months off after. I'm feeling like a Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald kind of war, which means Lerone Murphy fights Alexander Volkanovski in December, and then there's going to be a conversation. Does Aljo get the next title shot? Is he taking another fight? We don't really know how that's working out yet. Or do you give it to the winner of this fight? Regardless, I still like Aljo's chances because I think he has like a 65% chance to beat Diego Lopez and like a 45% chance to beat Gene Silva. And we don't know who's going to win this fight. So you take those odds and you just say, blank slate, does Aljo beat the winner of this fight? I'm saying yes, but I will say Gene Silva makes me extremely nervous, especially because he's younger. Aljo's getting up there in age too. Don't forget about the 35 and above curse. But I like Aljo. I really do. And then finally, we have the guy I'm sure a lot of you guys are waiting for me to talk about, Movsar Evloev. And this is a tough one because it was just like, what, a year ago that Evloev literally beat Aljamain Sterling. But watch that fight again and tell me if it goes 5 rounds that Aljo doesn't win. I think he does. This fight Aljo was up in, and I think Movsar just stole it at the end. He just stole it. I think if it goes 2 more rounds, Aljo gets the better of him. His fight IQ's higher. I actually think he's the better technical grappler. I think Evloev has faster hands, so that's where his advantage is. The cardio is probably Aljamain Sterling. The fight IQ is probably Aljamain Sterling. And when you have those 2 attributes, you are built for championship fights, and that's what Aljo is built for. Aljamain Sterling, skill for skill, should have lost to Peter Yan. Aljamain Sterling, skill for skill, probably should have lost to Henry Cejudo and maybe even a healthy TJ Dillashaw. But it's his fight IQ and cardio that gets the job done for him. It's kind of like Merab, and it's funny because they're both Long Island products. Let's go, baby. Long Island. But back to the point. I think if these guys rematch right now, 5 rounds for a championship fight, I'm taking Aljamain Sterling. I really think that. So to recap, Aljamain Sterling beats pretty much all these guys. So to recap all these guys as a whole, the sitting champion, Alexander Volkanovski, I'm not worried about because I think he would beat Aljamain Sterling, but I don't think the fight will ever happen because I think Volk's retiring. He's old. He has his mind on other things. He wants to cook. He's not in the game right now. I think he's going to retire, and Aljo won't have to worry about that. 2, Movsar Evloev. Yes, Aljo lost to him. I know. But I think in a rematch over 5 rounds, Aljo knows his fight style. He's got better fight IQ, better cardio. I'm taking Aljo. 3, Lerone Murphy. We still don't know how good he is. He has never fought a guy even close to the level of Aljamain Sterling. We don't know how good Aaron Pico is. Edson Barbosa was out of his prime. I'm taking Aljo, the safer pick, over Lerone Murphy. And then 3, Diego Lopez, next for the title, probably if he beats Gene Silva. Aljo is a stylistic matchup nightmare for him. And then 4, Gene Silva, once again, the guy who makes me the most nervous. If Gene Silva goes out there and ragdolls and knocks out Diego Lopez, I may reconsider this video, but he's still kind of an unknown commodity as well. We don't know how good he is against top 5 level competition. So he's an unknown. I think Aljo would have a good shot. So the point I'm trying to get across with this whole video is we need to stop sleeping on Aljamain Sterling. He needs to be in these title talks. And if he does win this featherweight belt, we're going to have some uncomfortable conversations about him potentially being a top 20 fighter of all time, maybe even encroaching on top 15. Probably the 3rd greatest bantamweight of all time behind Dominic Cruz and Merab Dvalishvili, maybe behind TJ Dillashaw too. Regardless, one of the greatest bantamweights of all time. 2 division champion at featherweight, a very good weight class. Guys, that's one of the best resumes of all time. So Aljamain Sterling really has the chance to super solidify his resume, and I'd like it to happen because he's from Long Island. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe and let me know in the comments what kind of videos you want to see next.